Hey everybody, Charlie and I are 2 here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, we managed to sway the jury so that we could continue the case. Let's continue on and see what happens. Ryu says, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Mr. Fairplay once again is trying to break his teeth on his cane. Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. Look at you quoting Roosevelt. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate? That's another word I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. Prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. Is that really the case? Mr. Hodo, excuse me. If we have some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has compelling reason to lie in his testimony. Yeah, I have evidence. He is in the ledger, or the journal, rather. Man, we're only down to 3 little ace points there. My lord. Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove! Are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Garg. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. So that's going to be over here to the debtor's ledger. Let's present that.
Take that!
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Oh, we gotta do Alucard voice again. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Uh-oh, critical hit. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Arg. Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between 2 individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. I know what annulled means. I don't know what some of these words mean, but I know what annulled means. Don't patronize me, game. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Gah. Oh my goodness. Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord? Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Still ellipses. Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. All right, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilded's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And yet only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Grr, so you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Yeah, what you got to say, First? Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. So then it wasn't Mr. McGilded. What? What? It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yargs? Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. This is good. The more they talk, the more they're going to contradict each other, too. What the witnesses really saw. All right, let's hear your testimony. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. That doesn't mean that Mr. McGilded was the assailant, though. You may have seen someone else with blood on both hands. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment of the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attackers' hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we would have seen, or we all would have seen. Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, arg, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. So, this goes to, like, science, and even my wife, who's nurse, you can't assume anything. Right? So, like, if you come upon an individual and they have what you and I would say is, blood on their shirt or whatever, you can't say that. You have to say there is a red stain, approximately what size, at the location, until you can prove that it's blood. Right? You can't just say, oh, there's blood here. And you can't, as a witness, say, yes, this guy did it, if you didn't 100% see that dude do it. What you're doing is you're using context clues and coming to your own conclusion, and that can create false memories. All right, that's neither here nor there. I'm sorry, I just went off on a tangent here. But he's saying because there was no one else inside the carriage, he assumes that it was Mr. McGilded. Grr, that much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. All right, once again, is there a reason not to press every statement? I don't think so. I think we'll be warned if that's the case. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. Cool, let's press you anyway.
Hold it!
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir. But nevertheless, we gotta make sure we keep an eye on the other two. I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why? I think because he actually saw an assailant with blood on both hands, but the assailant was not Mr. McGilded. Your reasoning is dire. Exclamation point. One hand or two. The salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused fingers. I keep wanting to make him say accursed because of, like, you know, Castlevania. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. Let's press that too.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know. Arg, but... Okay, so he's just happy right now. For crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just, trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? Well, arg. That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. Arg. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the Derby, that's all. Oh, so you're a gambler. I was gonna win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. What? Did you submit to a crime just now? I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. I agree. This witness's scruples... Hold on. Wrong voice. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I don't think so. I think his scruples are important. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attacker's hands with blood on them. Press. You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Right, they all look the same. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves had any signs of blood on it. Y'all look the same? That's right. Thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both of his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-colored stain on the darker leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands? This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard the scream. Let's press that.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything? Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Okay, he's just kind of looking off. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Well, what kind of a pose is this? Wouldn't you agree, sir? Who are you talking to? This one? Him. I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Yeah, it's a weird thing to say. Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see, it was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Arg! Yeah, Beppo sounds like a little shit. Anyway, the fact remains there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we would have all seen. No, there are blind spots you could have seen. Let's press this. I think this is where we're going to get our answer from.
Hold it!
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus? That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter. He's still shivering. Oh, wait a minute. It's him that's talking.
Excuse me.
If I may, Mr. Fairplay, what are you fossicking for now? That last statement appears to have given you pause for thought. Okay, I chose the wrong thing. Nope, not really. By the way, you always seem to be looking to decide one way or another. Do you have some affliction? Not really. He's not really willing to say anything, it seems. We've had this before. Mr. Fairplay didn't see Mr. Mason being stabbed at all. It's a hugely significant change in the facts of the case. And there's something else that occurred to me whilst listening to the witness's latest testimony. Two of them are recounting what they saw through the skylight in the omnibus roof. I know it's a large window and certainly affords a good view of the inside, but, well, I think perhaps we ought to confirm what they're saying with our own eyes as much as possible. What do you mean? I mean that we can examine the evidence firsthand. The omnibus is here in the courtroom, after all. It's a good idea, and we can consider the witness's statement while looking around. Okay, so let's, I don't want to present anything. I want to look at the court record. All right, this is what we need to press again because we messed it up.
Hold it!
All right, and everything you saw in the incident was through the skylight roof of the omnibus. That's right, it was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Yes, Judge, yes. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right, and it's a public bus service for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play, even though your name is Fair Play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight and the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? Yeah, the one you're setting directly above. By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure, but the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. You would talk about flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. Oh, we got a drawing. You will identify the area on this cross-section plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been situated? Well, if they were sitting here, then it would be here. If they were sitting here, they could see this way. And they weren't sitting directly behind the driver because they wouldn't have seen anything. So it would have to be here. Right here. Present.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other. Which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, as I've drawn here. Ah! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite of the one in which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Garg!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there? I love that point. That slow point that he does. Good job, Van Zykes. You Nipponese have a foreboding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. Exclamation point. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder? Man, I'm learning some words today. Rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? Man, I don't know if I can. I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Man, let me look at the court record before we start saying we have ideas about this. List of debtors, Bruce Fairplay, murder weapon, omnibus, gloves, photograph. Let's look at the photograph. Look at this photograph! Every time I see it makes me laugh. Is there like a reflection? Well, this photograph was taken after he was killed, so like this wouldn't help us. The guy wouldn't still be there. Let's go back. Let's look at the carriage. Alright, let's go inside. Let's go. Just go in there. We don't have to talk every time. So the murder was over there, so which means on... Oh, I gotta use my other controls. This side could have been someone. Let's open this up again. Could they have hidden in here? Everything's moved to one side. So this is the back. This is where those two were sitting. Somebody could have been over here, but I gotta be honest, I don't think we have any clue who it could have been. Let's go back. Let's go back. Yeah. I don't think we know. I'm gonna have to say, I have no idea. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. What? What are we gonna do? Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Miss Usato. Oh, all right then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You have a new glass? You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learnt. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. But who could it be? I don't even think we have any other names. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... Okay. The Lord Chief Justice, Magnus McGilded. Baron von Zykes. Thrice-fired Mason. He's dead. Beppo? Beppo kind of looks like Magnus. Bruce Fairplay. He's shifty, but like I don't think it was him. Lady First? I don't think it's him either. So if it's not him, it's not him. I think Beppo, but I have no way of like rationalizing why he would be in the cab. Yeah, it's Susato. She's the one that did it. Lord Chief Justice. I don't know why he would be there. Baron von Zykes. Why would he be there? We got options. Nope, we don't have options. That's game options. Okay, this is probably wrong, but I'm gonna say Beppo. But if he had blood on his hands, he's saying he didn't see anything. He made everything up. He didn't see anything, not even the cold. He's the one that was stabbed. He was sitting beside of him. It's got to be Beppo, right? Let's present Beppo. Let's see what happens.
Take that!
Yes, concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was none other than this unexpected passenger. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Whatever so-called logic you use to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, because he's saying that he would have been in there the whole time. I was saying that he, like, snuck down there somehow, but yeah, that doesn't make any sense either. He was driving the cabin. Because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. The real blind spot is inside your head, and it would appear to be unusually large. Yeah, that's wrong too. Could have just said that it's not right. Mr. Naruhodo, our task here is to defend Mr. McGilded, and we are working on the assumption that he is innocent of this crime. Yes, of course. Why? That must mean then that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded, the true culprit. That's right, exactly what I've been... Oh, of course. So the two people sitting inside the cabin that witnessed Saul through the skylight that night was not Mr. McGill, that he was sitting on the other side. They were the victim and the real culprit. Okay. Thanks, Susato. As though we've all been making a false assumption. The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGill at all, meaning it has to have been sitting somewhere else. Alright, I got it. Let's not delay. The defense is still named the passenger in the other seat. And we're going to do that next episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider to like, a comment, and or subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.